How's it going, man?
It's going good. I'm excited for this.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun, man.
Let's do it.
Yeah, so who's playing tonight for basketball?
TCU, Michigan.
TCU.
It's going to be a good game.
First time you going?
Yeah, first game of the
exciting,
season.
man.
I've been to games before, but not in the student section.
No, you've
so
been
it's
to other
gonna be-
basketball games?
Yeah, I used to go to MSU a lot because I lived down East Lansing. Those games are fun.
Yeah.
Well, they're pretty good, I won't even lie, but Michigan I think is going to be good this year, so.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
you've been going like throughout childhood? Has that been a big part of like childhood life?
Basketball, I mean a little bit. I think just because our ties with MSU and Michigan. My dad going to Michigan for undergrad, and then my dad going to med school there. So
Did you go to Michigan or MSU?
He went to Michigan for undergrad, and then
nice.
MSU med school. Yeah, no. So house divided, but probably
So
sticking
your
more
mom
to
is
Michigan.
MSU or?
No, she went to Northwood and then
Northwood.
LCC. So.
Where's Northwood?
I cannot tell you. It's somewhere in Michigan. But
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So do you have like other affiliations with MSU, like siblings or?
My sister goes there.
Okay.
She's a junior.
Nice.
And then my dad just kind of helps teach there as well sometimes. But yeah,
So really,
just live right next to it. So
Yeah. So did you grow up as like an MSU fan or a Michigan fan or what?
grew up Michigan fan, I think.
Okay.
I think my dad impressed that on us early. Although we cheer for both, sort
Yeah.
of. Now I cheer for Michigan, obviously, but no, we cheered for both. Unless they played together, I think it came down to Michigan being the favorite for
Amazing,
sure.
bro. Amazing. I was reading your bio and I was really curious about your story with baseball because it seemed that you had some pretty big achievements to put on your name there. I wasn't sure like how the divisions and stuff worked in the state of Michigan, even at the high school level. So how about you like run through first and give an overview of your experience with baseball?
Yeah, for sure. So I went to a private school, Lansing Christian. Shout out Lansing Christian. Love that school. Was there my whole life. And it was Division IV because of the size of the school. So my graduating class was like 45. So it was a very, very small school. And then divisions just broke up by the size of the school. So D1 is like a super large school, and then like all the way down to D4, which is the size of my school. So D4, it's probably less competitive than D1, which makes sense because there's a less pool of kids to pick from. But then Division IV baseball, I played freshman year through all the way to senior year. I was on varsity all 4 years, captain for 3 years. Was starting shortstop. There's a lot more to say, but that's just the
quick
basic
overview.
premise.
Amazing. So is that division system Michigan thing or?
I think I'm assuming there's like other things in other states like Class A, Class B,
I see.
like that kind of thing. But it is kind of similar. Like the size of the school divides like large schools from small schools.
Amazing.
Yeah.
How did you get into baseball? Was that a family thing or people signing you up early or?
I cannot tell you how I got into it. I remember playing t-ball when I was like 4 years old, and then ever since then, always played. I still play. Not at the level that I wanted to play at.
So were you trying to go D3 or?
Yeah, so I was
D1?
the plan. Okay, so the plan was to play college baseball,
Okay.
and that was like the dream. I never thought I could really play MLB. Maybe when I was like a little kid, it was like, oh, I can play the MLB, and it's a whole different level. Like people don't understand how good those guys are. It's insane. But college baseball was a big thing. It didn't really get real till about junior year because that's when the recruiting starts. So college kids can start looking at you, texting you, emailing you, all that kind of thing. And then that summer, like after my junior year, I played really well. I got an offer from Calvin, and then the coach moved to Hope, so I would have been able to play at Hope as well. But then
Where's Hope? Hope, Michigan?
Hope, yeah, Hope
Okay.
College. Yeah. No, super great school.
That's D3?
Yeah, which would have been a great education as well. But then I got into Michigan, and I was like, that was really a struggle because it was like giving up. It was giving up my dream, So I gave it up to come here, and I'm still playing club ball, so everything's good. Not the way I wanted it to be, but it's still good. Still blessed.
Do you find club ball still fulfilling in a way, or does it lack?
I think so. I just want to play. That's really the premise of what I want to do. I just want to play. I love the game. Regardless of who I'm playing, I just want to be out there. I want to field the ball in the infield. I would love the infield. It's my second home if I ever had one. And then I love to hit, even though it's a struggle, it's really hard. But it's a lot of fun to compete. And club ball, I mean, it's fun. It's more of a social thing, I'd say, from just my perspective, being in for a couple months now. But it's a great group of guys that we just have tons of fun already. But I don't think it's to the level of competitiveness that I once had when I was literally competing for a spot at the next level. But it's just fun because I know like there's a lot less stress. I'm not really being recruited, so it's not like that big of a deal if I strike out or have a bad game, that kind of thing. So it's just fun. It's relaxed, and I've been playing pretty well. So.
Yeah, and I think people who play sports all find a different kind of beauty in it. Like some people love the competition aspect of it and the challenge part of it. And I've talked to people who've come here and picked up club stuff, and it's just like it's not the same. And they always talk about like they wish they were still in that high school competitive way of life. And some people just enjoy just sitting back and playing the sport, and it's more relaxing and social. And some people are completely happy and fulfilled with that. So do you think which side of that do you think you lean more? There's like a different aspect of the sport that you find joy in, or?
I wouldn't say I'm big in the competitiveness of the sport. I just love to play and just be out there. A big thing with baseball was to me is just getting my mind off of things. Especially, in high school, I was definitely just into academics, striving for a school like this, right? And then, I mean, it was just a way to escape all that. And so is this. I mean, there's so much work here, and right? There's a lot of work here. And so being able to just escape it for like maybe even 2 hours, right? It allows me to ease my mind and just kind of take my mind off of things. So in that aspect, I'd say it's better for me mentally. I like the mental relaxation that I got from it. But I did love high school ball. I loved high school ball because those are the guys that I grew up with like my whole life. My best friend at GV, like my best friend ride or die. And yeah, we played all throughout 4 years, throwing partners throughout all 4 years. Like, it was just so much fun to be with your brothers and like your family. And so that level of just brotherhood that I got from high school ball, I wish I could go back for sure. But that, I would say, the more the brotherhood side, the more of like the relaxation side mentally, over the competition aspect. I still love to compete and I still love to win. But I would say more about the community and just being around a group of guys while playing the sport you love is what I like.
Yeah, the mental health part of it's huge. I think everyone should try to find something that can separate their life, the details of their life, and just somewhere they can be free. Yeah. And I remember the first time I met you, I was sitting with Tyler at dinner on Mojo, maybe like a month ago, and you're there, and we're talking after he leaves, and you mentioned that one of the things you miss about high school was that brotherhood piece, that you remember those guys, like those guys were close, ride or die, as you mentioned, and you said that now being here, it's been a little bit more of a struggle because connections are new and they're formulating, and it takes time to develop something like that. And I'm assuming you've probably grown up with these guys from the beginning. I grew up with these guys. I mean, through K through 12, right? Some of these guys I've known my whole entire life. So it was like going to school at Lansing Christian was just, it was like I was going to see another family. Like I just knew everybody, and I didn't really have to go out and try to meet somebody new because everyone knew each other. And like my sisters and brothers, like these were like people that were so close to me. And so when you grow up in a community, like a tight-knit community like that, and then all of a sudden now you're branching out into 40,000 new people that you have no idea, right? It's hard not knowing that you know everybody every single day. And so, because I see someone new every single day, and then I meet someone and then I won't see him for another month, right? So, but I mean, at my school, my private school, I just knew everybody and I could see everybody every single day. And then there was other things too, like we had school retreats, we had these like spirit weeks, all this thing, a bunch of community engaging. So that just grew that community even more and more. And it was definitely hard stepping away from that community. But I mean, that's just another step that God's put me through. So just to meet new people, get out there, not to stay comfortable in one spot, but just to engage in a world that's outside of your comfort zone, so. Is that the first time you feel like you made such a big leap?
Yeah, in terms of social, like the social aspect, yes, for sure. Because like I said, I knew these people my whole life. These are my brothers. Like I could just hang out with these guys, and like I still like those are the only friends I really want because they're just so close to me, and I just love them so much. And so stepping out, it's been kind of a struggle recently. It's like, well, I don't know if I'll ever find a brother like my friend Dylan or Elijah. Like these guys are so close to me that I don't know if I'll ever like not achieve a friend, but like make a friend that close to me. And so it's just been kind of like, why even do it? Because I already had these guys with me. Why add more? Because it's just a risk. And so yeah, I would say that it's been definitely been a step. Socially, it's been tough. But I mean, it just comes with time. I mean, that relationship, that bond that I had with my best friends, like that took 10, 12 years, So, I mean, it's not just like, maybe it's just because I have this like stipulation that I'll meet someone and like right away become best friends just like that. But it takes time. And I didn't really have that in my private school because again, I knew everybody. And so it wasn't about developing a relationship over time because I already knew them and our friendship was always there, or it only just got stronger. So yeah, I'd definitely say it's a big step for me for sure.
Wow. So I'm assuming no one you met here can even fit that category of what you define as like what a friendship could be like. But has anyone ever come close so far?
I don't know. My roommate, I mean, he went to school with me and we weren't that close. But we definitely haven't gotten closer since we moved in here. I met a couple guys too. They're super, super good guys. Like you too, super good guy. It's just like, it just takes time to develop a relationship that I know that's so strong. And like, those guys are so close to me that like, it's hard to see it with anybody new. Does that make sense? So, yeah.
Talk to me about the first couple of weeks here. Like I don't know, like what you were expecting coming in, because it's like the first time you're ever really doing this. After, you said your graduating class was 45?
45.
That's the smallest
like
I've heard, I think.
Yeah.
That's wild, bro. For high school, that's wild. I think my middle school was like 30, which I thought was really small.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but my high school was like 150, which is small relatively until you hear 45. Like, what the fuck?
Right.
So yeah, what did you expect coming in? And then what were the first, if you remember even what was going on those first couple of weeks? Like?
So yeah, move-in week, I moved in the Saturday before school started, so I was really late. I came back from a trip with my family.
What date was that? August 20th?
I don't even know. What day did we start? Like
I think we started 22nd, right?
22nd?
Or 26th.
Or something like that. But I started the Saturday before on that Monday. So Monday and then, 2 days before. I remember after my parents dropped me off and my family left, I remember sitting in my room. I literally walked around my room like a couple times, like, what do I do? Like, like this is all so new to me. It's like so much autonomy now that like I can just do whatever I want. Like there's obviously some guardrails on that, but yeah, it was just really weird experience. I think I went out with a couple of these guys I met on orientation, went out to this party because the expectation I had was like, oh, this is a party lifestyle. And that's just what
like
college
Michigan
is.
Was going to be like?
Yeah. And I mean, like, you just have this kind of expectation or just like this perspective almost that like college is just about partying and school. And so I kind of went along with that. And then we went to a party or whatever. Wasn't a big fan. I'm not a big social guy, so wasn't a big fan of it. But no, I just seeing a lot of people there. And then when school started, I like the syllabus idea where like everything is laid out. We didn't have that in high school, and I'm assuming you didn't have it either. So the syllabus where it's all laid out, all the due dates and everything, that is amazing. That is godsend. Like that is so awesome to keep track of. But then just the big lecture halls is like crazy. Like especially when I had classes like size. I think the smallest size class I had was probably 7.
7
back
people. In high school?
Back in high school, yeah. And then you get to a lecture
wild.
hall where there's 400 people,
yeah,
you know what I'm saying? So, and then I was so close to my teachers as well in high school. And so when you're in a big lecture hall, you can't really communicate that well with your professors and get to know them on an intimate level and have a good relationship with them. But yeah, I would say the lecture halls were a big change. Just the amount of people is a big change. I kind of had the autonomy already to get up, do my work, do the basic things in the morning, brush your teeth, shower. Like I already had those things locked down. And, but I'd just say meeting the new people, the big lecture halls. And yeah, it's definitely weird. Especially when you can't really ask questions in the lecture hall. You still can, but it's just different when you're not so one-on-one with the teacher, you know what I mean? But yeah, I would say those are big changes.
All right, man. So you come into Michigan expecting this binary lifestyle of party and work. What did it end up being now that we're almost 3 months in? Are we 3 months in? We're 2.
Yeah, I don't know. We're close to the end of the
Yeah.
semester, which is crazy. But I was really homesick, I think, in just the first couple months. I still kind of am, but I'm kind of getting over it right now. But my parents would just come pick me up. They're like an hour away, so I just go home for the weekends. But like to me right now, I'd say, and what it was in the beginning as well, is just like I do my work in the beginning of the week, and then come home, be with my family, and then be with my friends as well, if they were home as well. So it's just been like get in, do the work, then go home on the weekend. That's just kind of like I'm just so close to my family that like I just want to be with them. You know what I mean? Yeah. But yeah, it's just kind of like a work style, get the work done, praying that like, you know, this will pay off in the end, get a good degree, right? And then, yeah, just be home with my family and friends. So
amazing.
Yeah.
How did the baseball season go? So how many games you guys play in the season?
For the club season? We had two tournaments. One against Western we played at Detroit Catholic Central, I think. Won all three, and then we went to Miami, Ohio.
All three, and there's Florida. Like 4 teams there, or is it against the same team?
Same team. Okay. Same team. Yeah, it's just like a series basically. Gotcha. So yeah, we beat Western 3 times. Went to Miami, Ohio. We won 1 and lost 1 in the last inning, so it was like 1-0. But no, we are a good team, and like just seeing it just for like these past couple months, we are a good team when we want to be. Like that's just kind of what I get from it. If everyone stays focused, you know, has the end goal like, hey, we want to achieve this. We want to make it to the Club Baseball World Series like they did in the past years. We just got to set our heart and mind to it, and then we'll achieve it. But, I mean, fall ball is just really relaxed because it doesn't really mean that much in a sense unless you're playing a team that's in your conference. And I don't think Miami's in our conference or division. They're in our conference, but not in our division. It matters when you're in division with the team. But yeah, it was just really relaxed. It was a lot of fun, and the guys are super cool, super chill. So
amazing. So there's only 2 tournaments in fall?
I think so. I think they just vary every single year because I know like I heard that Eastern played like a bunch of games. MSU also played like a bunch of games as well. But I think just for us, we just did 2 tournaments and then get back to it in March, something like that.
Gotcha. And then when you get back in March, it'll be more about the busy schedule, or?
I think so. From what I heard, it's like, so we'll play like MSU, Notre Dame, Central maybe, I don't know, a bunch of other schools, like 3 games each. So whatever you make of that, but probably busier than fall ball for sure. Because then you have like the tournaments and then like the College World Series, Club Baseball World Series, but
nice.
Something like that. So
it's exciting, man. Yeah. I'm excited to see how that goes this year.
No, I'm excited.
I'm curious back to that moment in the timeline when you're making that decision between schools, because I think a lot of people go through a similar kind of phase where it seems like there's no way to make the right decision. Walk me through that thought process. What was it like?
Yeah, so I want to play college ball my whole life. That was the goal. I worked towards that every single day up until that decision, right? And I was getting looks from all these schools, you know, like I mentioned previously. But the end goal, I really wanted to play varsity baseball here or at MSU. I think particularly at MSU was the big goal. And I didn't get that. And so...
Do you want to play for MSU?
I really wanted to play for MSU,
okay.
yeah.
And they're D1 or?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I just really wanted to play D1, Division I baseball.
When did that, in the timeline of things, like when did that become a goal for yourself?
MSU,
or even just playing college ball? Like what... I know you said junior you got serious about it, like, but when did it start as a vision? Because that must have been earlier on too.
I would say probably middle school, 8th grade. I think I went to a Michigan like camp, baseball camp, talked with like, I wouldn't say talk with coaches because that's not allowed, but like they were just kind of help facilitating the camp. And I talked to like a bunch of those guys, and they kind of like impressed that on me, like, oh, you are good enough to play. And then I have a bunch of stories about that too. But so it started to get really serious junior year. So then I started going all these camps because this is where it's really real. Like you show off in front of these scouts, they'll select you if they want you, you know. And so I went to a camp in New York, I think it was. It was like this, like, because at this point I wanted to play it because I think I realized at this point that like I probably wasn't going to play D1. I'm not that good. You realized? Yeah, I think sort of like I started to realize that, and I started to realize that. So I think it was probably during this camp, honestly. So I went to this academic showcase where a bunch of these like super academic schools, like, you know, Harvard, Yale, like Ivy Leagues, and then there was like the NESCAC League where it's a bunch of these like Tufts, Bates, like those kind of schools.
Yeah, I got a friend at Bates.
Yeah, so there were a bunch of those schools there. So I got a lot of looks from the NESCAC league.
That's cool.
And I played really well. I performed really well at that camp.
But NESCAC's mostly D3?
Yeah, and then there was like the D1s like Villanova, Harvard, Yale.
They're part of NESCAC?
No, they're part of the Ivy, but and just the total. Yeah, they were all there. And I performed really well. And then I think this is probably the pivotal moment for me. So I think it was after one of the games. One of the coaches, Division I coach, I won't mention the coach, but he came up to me and was like, you have all the skills, like all the talent to play at the Division I level, but you just don't have the size. And it was like, at that point, it was like, I can change my strength. Like, what do you mean? And like, I think what I got from it is just, I'm too short. And, that's kind of the reality that I cannot change. And that's just kind of the gift that God gave me, right? And that's just the height I got to not really deal with in a sense, but I mean, I'm gifted with. And so if it's not worthy for the next level of Division I college baseball, then, I can't change that. And so there's nothing I can really do. And so I think at that point, I was like, okay, so I'm stuck with D3 ball, which is fine. Hope College was great. All these NESCAC schools were great. And then I started like visiting a bunch of these NESCAC schools like Middlebury. I didn't really perform well, and I wasn't really performing really well at these other ones as well.
Why do you think that is?
I don't know.
Competition level?
No, I think God wanted me here. And I think as I kind of reflect on it, I think that's just where He wanted me here. He wanted me to be at this place, for His plan that He has for me later on. But I performed like way out of my body, like missing ground balls are so easy. Even my dad noted it, like you can't be missing those things. Like it was just so simple mistakes that I just could not account for. And so after the bunch of those trials and all that, and then like once these college applications we had to do senior year, and then once I got into Michigan in February, I was like, I can't really play Division I ball, and D3 ball is great, but the academic opportunities here probably outweigh the things I'll get at playing college baseball somewhere else. So struggled with that a lot, trying to decide, what's the right way to go. And obviously decided on Michigan, but it was definitely hard, especially hearing what other people had to say about me. You have all the talent, but then your height, like that's just what kind of hurts. But it's part of my story. So I think it was like after that whole junior year mess. And then I think it boils down. So I have a younger brother. He's a sophomore now, super talented at baseball. One of the best baseball players I've ever watched. And I've watched every...
He's a sophomore in high school?
Yeah, and I've watched every single level. He's still not better than me.
But,
yeah, he will be, obviously. But no, he's one of the best players that I've ever watched. His work ethic is so strong. He's so locked into what he wants in his life. And I still want to be affiliated with baseball in some way. And I think what it boiled down to me doing is like choosing to do academics here, but then doing baseball with my brother to help him achieve Division I like level baseball, so that's been kind of like the focus, just to work with him so that he can achieve it even when I couldn't, so that I can still be a part of it. Almost. But yeah, watching him grow is awesome. Working with him is awesome. Sometimes I don't want to do it because it's just like busy work, because I want to be the one hitting, I want to be the one fielding, so like those urges is really hard to fight with. But yeah, I'll definitely be a part of someone achieving the dream that I had and being able to see someone do that. And I want to be a part of that in some way. Even though I couldn't do it myself, I'll still be a part of it somehow. So yeah, no, that's the story.
It's amazing. Yeah. I think a lot of people will look at a situation like that. If they were in your shoes, they see that they have all the talent, but they don't have the size. It'd almost be like, wow, if only I had that little bit better genetics, if only the luck of the draw, I could have been all that, and they'll get in their head about it, and they'll tell themselves a story like, all I needed was that, and just like stress out over it and be cynical about the universe. And then I think your outlook on it is very nice. You called it a gift. You didn't call it an impediment. You said that this is the gift God gave me, and I think that's an interesting way to look at it, because you also mentioned previously that this is where God wanted you, and maybe it's God wanted you to play baseball and enjoy it, but this is maybe what's better down the road for whatever goes on the storyline. So I found that outlook really powerful.
Yeah, I mean, if I had the height, if I was 6'1", I mean, I was told by plenty of coaches and plenty of players, like, no, if you were 6'1", you'd be D1, like, talent, right? Like, I've heard that so many times, and someone even told me, like, I got nerfed or something because of my height, but, you know, I mean, it's a gift because, like, if I were 6'1", and I played Division I baseball, you know, where could I end up in that track, you know? Maybe that's not what I was supposed to be doing, you know? So, yeah, so I view it as a gift because, you know, I mean, it is kind of a setback, you know, just chasing the dreams that you want, but then also it may not be in alignment with what my Savior wants. So, so then I kind of had to step into that, you know, giving up those things. It's hard. I mean, it's giving up what you love, which is not easy for sure. But yeah, just following the path that God wanted me to go with and giving up what I chased after and not what he wanted me to chase after. So, but I mean, like you said, I mean, it was still a gift to play, and like, look what it did for me. You know, I'm still an athlete. I'm still playing. I'm still fit, right? Like,
you can find so much beauty in it too.
Right. Yeah. And I find so much love and enjoyment, and like, I can even find enjoyment with just coaching my brother, right? And potentially even coaching my high school someday too. That's a goal, right?
That'd be so much fun.
Yeah. So I'm still a part of it in some way, and it's just that love is just so strong. And like, maybe my kid, if I have a kid, right, then would go play college baseball. So there'll be some involvement for sure. But yeah, it was definitely hard stepping away from it. Yeah.
Where do you think you find such a strong positive outlook on life, and how are you able to maintain it all the time, or do you think sometimes you find yourself in a lower outlook?
Oh, like, yeah, I mean, there's definitely times where, I mean, I'll be sitting in my room like, why is this happening to me? Like, I just went through a rough breakup, and it's hard because it's like, it's just a hard moment, especially when I'm like still grinding through work and it's already bogging me down, and you know, and then there's just this add-on thing, you know. I mean, but I mean, the positive outlook I think just comes from, you know, I mean, look at the little things you have, right? I mean, I'm at Michigan. That is a blessing in anything, right? You know, the family I have, it's a blessing. The friends I have, it's a blessing. Doing this is a blessing, right? Like, even though there's just one event that may be wrong, look at the other little things, right? Like all this other goodness in life, like, oh, we have a nice day outside, you know what I'm saying? We have weather, you know, like all these things. And I mean, even in the midst of like the presidential election, all that, right? Like, I mean, it's so polarized, but in the midst, like, we still have such a great country that provides us such freedom, such rights, right? I mean, I wouldn't say compare it to other people, but I'm saying like, just be grateful with like the little things that you still have, even when there's some big event that like may alter that thought. I mean, just continue to look at the little things, right? I still have my arms, I still have my legs. Like, I can still see, like, there's people that don't have those things. So looking at the little things, I think, is what keeps me going. And just looking towards the end goal, right? I mean, as a Christian, right, we're gifted eternal life in heaven because of our Savior Jesus died on the cross, right? So just looking for that end goal as well. Like, even in the midst of all this, I still have a rock and a foundation that I can depend on in the afterlife, right? So yeah, just looking at the little things, honestly, just looking at the goodness of the little things, even when something big happens.
Yeah, so. It's really strong, and I think it's useful as a tool for a lot of people. But I think the thing is that a lot of people know all that, but then when the event happens, they forget all of it. And
for sure,
sucks,
for sure. Yeah, no, I mean, there's definitely like, I'll be so transparent. Like when a bad thing happens, like I'll be down in the dumps for like days, right? Like, but I mean, it's just like you need to remind yourself of the good things, and you just need to like just look around, right? I mean, just the blessing to be here at the school, right? You know what I'm saying? Even when it's hard to make friends, even when it's hard to find a community, even when school is hard, like you're still at the school. You know what I'm saying? And so, yeah, I mean, and it's easier said than done, which is really the truth. I mean, I'm really good at giving advice, and I'm not good at taking advice. Like, I'm not really good at applying it myself. But I mean, yeah, it's just looking at the little things and just being grateful, even when, you know, times are tough and it's hard to do. But I mean, you just got to always remind yourself of like the blessings you have, the family you have, you know, whatever it may be. So
you mentioned that your relationship with God became stronger your junior year. So how has the relationship with religion been in your earlier years with how you grew up? And then why did it take until the junior year for it to start? And then how did it even begin to start?
Yeah, for sure. So growing up, private Christian school, I was always surrounded by Christian community, right? And so I always grew up in that. but it was hard because we'd have Bible classes, and you'd have assignments of, reciting a Bible verse or doing this worksheet that involves like reading the Bible and all that. So it really boiled down to like feeling that Bible or Christianity was just an assignment, and it was a letter grade. It was like a check off the checklist, what I'm saying? Get it, do it, get it done, move on, and so I started to really pick up on that freshman and sophomore year when I started to mature and started to like realize what this Christianity thing really is. Even though
did you reject it at first, or you're just like indifferent to it?
I didn't really reject it. I think I was just like, I didn't take it seriously as I probably should have.
Okay.
And I take it for granted because like those early years could have made me a better person than I am now. But that's just life. Like that's how we grow. So I started to realize that high school, freshman, sophomore year, I started to really pick up on that. Like, hey, maybe this whole Christianity thing is not just an assignment. And it's actually a relationship. And so junior year, also I went to church every Sunday, so that was
whole life? Or?
Yeah, my whole life. I always went there. But then the thing is I went to a Lutheran church as well. And the thing is with that, it's like, it's kind of like an offshoot of Catholicism, where like you have hymnals and you have these creeds and you just read them off. So it was kind of like just reading it and then responding, and then that's it. There's no relational aspect. There's no like personal reflection. It was just kind of like you read this quote and then you read it right off, and then you read these hymns, sing them, So junior year, I think I got into a stage in my life where I was just like really anxious and stressed out about maybe just the new academic standards that I had to live up to, because junior year really counts towards your application to senior year or to colleges and stuff. And then obviously the college recruiting process for baseball is getting real as well. And so there's just a lot of stress going on. And then I got to a point where I was just like, I'm stuck. I'm in a hole. Like, I don't know what to do. I have nobody, you know what I'm saying? Also, I still had people, but I just kind of shut myself out.
Like you weren't being as social?
Yeah, I was not social. I was like head down, I grind. I go to the gym, get this work done. That's it.
Can you walk me through like a day in the life of this time period?
You want me to walk through one?
Yeah.
Yeah, so junior year, I didn't play soccer like I wanted to.
So fall term.
Yeah, I didn't play soccer like I wanted to.
And you played soccer every season before that?
No, I really wanted to. So I played my senior year, which was a lot of fun. But so I go to school, get the work done, go to the gym after school, get home, recover, do some swings, do some fielding, all this work to make me a better 1% better every single day. That was the motto, and it still is, but in different terms, in different regards. But yeah, I was just like, go to school, do the workouts, do the recovery, do the fielding, baseball, hitting, all that stuff. And then just no social life. And it also kind of stems from just like I had to miss out on a lot because of practices. And then I miss out because of tournaments and games. So I was kind of immune to people like saying like, oh, let's say, for example, like someone like invited me to a hangout or whatever, and I'd be like, no, I can't. I have a game tomorrow. I practice tonight or something like that. And they'd be like, no, it's going to be really fun. I'll be like, no, I can't skip this. And then one of the hardest things is like seeing people say or hearing about like, oh, we had so much fun. You should have came. Like that's really hard to deal with. And the regret
hits you a little bit?
Yeah, because you kind of get the FOMO. Like, is that what it's called? Fear of missing out?
Yeah, FOMO.
And so you kind of get that. But I was kind of immune to that. I started to really grow immune to that. And so I was like, I'm okay with being by myself.
Were you always immune to that, or it just grew with time?
No, it just kind of developed because I was so head over heels for my dream to play college baseball that I was just, I don't care. Nothing's in my way. I'm going to keep working, keep grinding. And so just the fear of missing out was not really a big effect as it used to be. And so I was okay with being alone for this period of time. But then it just got to a point where I was just like, you need people in your life, you need community, and you need like brothers especially as guys, you need brothers that you have. And so kind of just had this whole episode or whatever and broke out of my slump of just being solo. And so one friend reached out to me and was like, hey, let me take you out to this youth group or something like that. And so youth group is just basically like, it's just basically like church, but just more worship and just being with the age group that you're assigned to. And so I went to one for the first time, and there was like some worship. And I think I just started like weeping and crying which like at the moment I had no idea like what was going on. Like I was just crying. I
At
don't
the
really,
youth group?
I don't really like just cry at random. You know what I'm
Yes.
saying? Like the music was amazing, but like I was just like crying. I was like, what's going on? So a leader told me there, I was like, yeah, you just been filled by the Holy Spirit. Like this is a new beginning for you. And so I think like ever since that day where I was just washed by the Holy Spirit, it was like, it definitely changed. Back to that question, like it definitely changed my view on Christianity, more of a relational aspect. And I think ever since then I've just been in active pursuit of Christ, which is hard in itself, but just for that end goal, So I think ever since then.
Wow. In your junior year, when you went into this grind mode, did that impact your relationships with people?
I definitely probably could have made more friends, probably made like strong relationships with the people at my school. But, I mean, you don't really know unless you were in it. But, I mean, it probably did. I mean, it probably like voided me from just having fun hangouts, making good memories. But, I mean, at the time, I was so immune to that. It didn't even matter. I was so locked in on my goal that it just nobody could get in my way. Even if you said like, no, you have to come or else like our friendship's gonna be ruined. Like, no, I'm grinding. Like, don't even like get in my way, And so, I mean, it might have hurt some relationships, but I mean, at the end of the day, the people that love you and you love, I mean, they're gonna be patient with you and carry you out and hear your story and be along with you with that. So, and those the guys that I have in my family, they're with me on that. So, yeah.
Wow. I don't really understand too well about the different. I'm not sure what the word is. I guess sect is the right word of Christianity.
Like different branches.
Branches, yeah. Because I know that Christianity has been interpreted many times throughout many different groups in history. So I don't personally understand how that works. So I was wondering if you could walk me through.
So Christianity, it's kind of tough because there's a lot of, I think just the branches that stem from Christianity are just like the way you interpret the Bible. So someone interprets like, for example, like in the politics realm, like some people interpret, like abortion in two different ways, or, LGBTQ in two different ways, or, like these like commandments, like, I don't know. I don't really know necessarily. I'm not big into it, like the theological aspect. I just want a relationship with God, you know what I'm saying? And so, so there's just divisions based on that and like how people view the Bible. So there's a bunch of names you could probably figure it out. I don't really know all these branches. I just focus on non-denominational because it's just like, it's just you and God, right? There's no other, it's how you interpret it and not.
And really. Can you define non-denominational?
Yeah. So it's not, I think to me, non-denominational is like, there's not a set like belief you need to follow in terms of the church you go to. It's just like you go to the church and you have freedom to worship, freedom to interpret the sermon that you're listening to, freedom to interpret the Bible the way you want to, and then just have other people that you can just hear out perspectives of the Bible and find one for your own. And so in contrast, like being when I was a Lutheran, I still kind of am, but just kind of growing out of that church setting, Lutheranism is just like you read these creeds, declaration of faith, these hymns. It was so structured, and there's obviously certain beliefs on being on the Lutheran side of things, but I think it was just, for me, I'd say it just kind of really didn't focus on the relationship aspect. So it was just kind of like just this monotone read off of this book that just didn't really make sense to me sometimes. Yeah. But I was just kind of reading it because that's kind of the flow of things being a Lutheran. So yeah, if that makes sense. Non-denominational is just like, I think freedom to make it your own.
Because you didn't mention one thing you didn't like at first was that it felt like an assignment.
Yeah, because, I mean, at school, it was like, oh, you need to memorize this verse and recite it. Like, well, I mean, it's not really like anything. I'm just memorizing a Bible verse. I can do that with a song. I can do that with an article, right? So it wasn't really intentional in terms of, like, pursuing God in a sense. So if that makes sense.
Perfect. So in the last 2 years, now that you've increased your commitment to religion, how would you say aspects of your life has changed? I can see that you have this strong positive outlook. Has it always been that way? Did that grow in the last 2 years? Like, what has been the biggest evolutions in yourself in the last 2 years?
Man. I mean, are you saying like how Christianity has kind of like impacted
Yeah.
my life? Is that what you're kind of saying?
What do you think are the biggest things you could take away from Christianity is
Um,
improve your life?
I mean, every day is something I learn new. And I think the biggest thing is like someone is with you. Someone is there on your side. And I think the biggest thing as well is like I've done some messed up things in my life. Probably not like to the degree of some other people, but like in my own sense, like I've done some messed up things. Like, I don't know. I mean, pornography is a big thing, and I'll be transparent. Like that's a trouble. That's hard. But I mean, there's just a savior out there that's like, hey, I see you in this. I'm going to take up that sin that you had, and I'm going to put it on the cross with me. And so that this no longer defines you anymore. And so being set apart from that, it's just the freedom from guilt, right? You don't want to live your life where you're just like have all this baggage on you when someone else can just take it and put it on a cross, so you don't have to wait, like hold on to it anymore. If that makes sense. That's how I view it. Every day, even though like sometimes I sin, I still fall into sin all the time. And you can't live a perfect life. But it's just sometimes like, oh, I had this sin. It's like, oh, I'm going to like, it's more baggage. It's just weighing me down. But then when you come to the feet of Jesus, right? Like, he's like, oh, let me take that off of you real quick. And put it right up there. You know what I'm saying? And so it's just freedom. Now like, oh, I can stretch my back now. You know what I'm saying? I'm not like bogged down from this stuff. And so just the freedom from guilt and like, just embracing that almost like just have freedom, right? You're gonna slip up, and that's just the way it goes. No one lives a perfect life except Jesus. So just the freedom from guilt, and then also just like like I kind of mentioned too, just I think it's also helped me just look at the little things that you can appreciate, and that's what kind of keeps me going, keeps this positive attitude, just looking at the little things that are really impacting your life, I'd say, and just are super good things like family, friends, even in the midst of a tough event. So
wow. So you feel that with religion you're able to take this weight off your chest, that you can kind of let loose a little bit more because you're not living with the guilt of the sins you've committed in the past, but you can there's room for improvement. You can look back at your old self, improve yourself, and not worry about the things you've done in the past.
Yeah. And it's not like, religion shouldn't be treated like, oh, if I get part of this, my life's going to be better. It's not. Life's not better for me. It's like, there's still hard things that I face, but now I have something that will remove the baggage from me, or have someone that can remove the baggage from me. It's just freedom to go about your day without having to worry about these past things that you did, and like trying to fix them and wage war against them every single day, constantly trying to fight this off when it's like so like in your mind, like you're going to end up doing it anyway because you're just thinking about it so much. So consistently trying to fight it doesn't work, and just kind of just laying it out for Jesus to take up. It's like, it's basically like a start over every single day. Like I get breath every single morning. Like that's one thing to be thankful too. Like you wake up, right? Some people like, I always look at the hospital over there because there's some people that are like, may not wake up tomorrow.
So close to us too.
You know what I'm saying? And it's like, they probably dreamed of this opportunity that we have, also looking at that from that perspective, I think is a big thing for me. Just back to that, like that's so impactful for me because there's so many people in the hospital bed that like are dying, right? Like they're just going through so much and they can't have an opportunity just to be at home with their family, right? And like we get this opportunity and we're just being ungrateful for a bad homework assignment. You know what I'm saying? You just got to put it into perspective. Like look at these blessings that you have when there's some people that pray for that stuff and like are wishing for that stuff every single day, and just hoping for a second chance to live. You know what I'm saying? So it's just putting it into perspective almost. And it's definitely my motivation to look at that hospital every single day because I could be there, you know what I'm saying? And so it's just thankful that like, oh, I wake up in a dorm room at Michigan, you know what I'm saying? It's just a good vibe and just a good blessing overall. So, yeah.
I don't think can walk tomorrow and look at the hospital again in a different way now. The way because I guess I never looked at a hospital thinking about all the people that are not going to wake up tomorrow as an analogy.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. It's I don't know. Maybe it's just like it's been implemented in my life because my dad's a cardiologist. So, he's always exposed to that stuff. And like my dad had a big event when I was around 7 years old as well. And so it's just like, there's people on near death in there, right? And like I'm here just complaining about, I don't know, this weather sucks today, you know what I'm saying? But I have food like and numerous supply, and I have a bed to lay on and get sleep, and have these computers and all this stuff to just
crazy.
like do all what I want to achieve, right? And there's people that like can't even do that because they're stuck in a bed, you know what I'm saying? So just viewing it like that and just, I don't know, just being grateful. I mean, there's definitely times, I'll be honest, like there's times where like I do not view it like that. I'm like, this sucks what I'm going through right now. Like, this sucks. But I mean, at the end of the day, you just gotta like, just be thankful for the little things, and like, just don't take life for granted, and just have fun. And yeah.
And I guess with time, it won't make the bad moments go away, but it makes you better at responding to the bad moments, maybe. Mm-hmm. Because I think a lot of people who are not in religion, they probably think of it as the end of the struggle finally, or they're always, even if it's not religion, but they're always looking for the end of the struggle. Like, people look at retirement as that magical time that finally I'll get there and then I won't have to work ever again. But I think the biggest misconception is that one day the struggle will end, which is, I think, all pursuit is in the search for freedom. Whether it's you're playing football and you're like pushing through a bunch of huge guys to get to the touchdown, the freedom of the touchdown, or you're just pushing through your years to get to retirement, or whatever you're looking for. You're looking to religion. Like, you're always looking for the end of struggle, but I think struggle is just an inherent feature of life that's just never going away. And in a way, it's a good thing. Like, I'm grateful for struggle a lot, because I think it adds so much more color to life. That when you feel pain, like, even if you physically impose that on yourself through doing difficult things, I think that in my life, and I think in most life, people who experience more pain experience more happiness, in my opinion. Because I think the scariest thing to me is a life that's numb, that you don't feel anything. Because if you find a way to make yourself so comfortable that there's no pain, it's almost like so numb that there's no happiness either. But I don't know. How do you think about the idea of like struggle and pain as well in all this?
I think it builds your character, and like, I think just from a Christianity standpoint, it's like, are you willing to rely on someone else to take control, you know? But I mean, just in a general sense, I mean, it just builds character, and it kind of just, I mean, it's setbacks, but you gotta think about it like this like linear graph, you know, that like is gonna go up sometimes, gonna go down sometimes, but at the end of the day, it's still trending towards like the end goal, right? So like, there's setbacks, but I mean, it's just life lessons and stuff to learn, and just like take in and be like, how can I make myself better? Like, that's why we look into history, right? Because we look at things that we went wrong with, and then like these struggles, and we try to fix them for the better, right? But yeah, like you said it perfectly. Like, struggle is inherent, and that's just like, and I mean, to go without struggle is like, you don't really grow, you know? So struggle, I mean, it's hard to deal with, but like I said, it's character building almost. Like, it's hard, it's like kind of, I just said that kind of nonchalantly, but like, I mean, it makes you a better person. I fully agree with that. Like you need struggle, and it's hard. Struggle sucks, because everyone just wants that perfect life where like you can just chill, like you said, like retirement. I can just chill, relax. I did all the work. But you're still going to have struggle, right? There's to be internal struggle, you know, familial struggle, right? There's all these other things. But yeah, I think it just gives you one way to learn and grow. It was how I interpret it, for sure.
I like your mindset a lot about the gift, because that's been stuck in my mind. That's probably something I'll take away from this, because I think it's such a good way to look at things, that even the things that go wrong are a gift. Because I try sometimes to keep that positive outlook, but you could definitely find yourself in moments with having that conversation with yourself, like, oh, if only that one thing, like, if only I was taller, if only, et cetera, et cetera. And I don't know, I really like the way how you look at everything as a gift. Talk to me more about that.
Yeah, I mean, we're all given these opportunities that, you know, you can either take or throw away. But I mean, there's other people with things that maybe you want as well. But I mean, at the end of the day, you gotta kind of look at what you're given. And it's a blessing, right? Because, you know, I always look back to like, I think my dad said one time, he was like, you know, if you're super tall, you couldn't even fit on an airplane, you know what I'm saying? So like, just being short, it kind of allows you to fit on an airplane, but like in a greater sense, right? Like there's advantages and disadvantages. It's just how you view them. Like, if you're going to go with world standards and be like, oh, like, I mean, I'll get real, like real. I'll get like super like real, like if you interpret it in the light of like for guys, for example, like, oh, if you're 6'1", you're gonna get all the chicks, you know what I'm saying? Like you're gonna get all these girls because you're 6'1", you know, you're tall. If you're short, man, like beat the road, you know what I'm saying? Like, so, but you know, I mean, there's other things to like. I mean, in that sense, like there's girls that like are attracted to other things than just height, you know what I'm saying? So you just gotta like, you gotta kind of avoid the cultural like perspective on these things and just kind of look at for yourself. And yeah, I mean, it's just like putting things in perspective. I mean, there's people that don't have this stuff. I went to Rwanda, I think this past summer, and I mean, it opened my eyes to a lot of different things. Like there's people that, you know, don't have the homes we have, you know what I'm saying? So, getting that viewpoint and seeing that there's people that don't have what I have, why not be grateful? Because I could be in that situation, you know what I'm saying? And they're grateful for that situation. Every person I went to in Rwanda was just so happy and
That's
so
the weird thing.
hospitable, right? Like even in like a shack, right? Like someone in a shack here is like, you know, it's hard. Like they're probably not in the best conditions that they want to be in. But yeah, I mean, I think it's just putting your perspective and just not taking anything for granted. And yeah, I mean, I just view everything as a gift because I could be somewhere else. That's really the best way to put it. So
yeah, the story in Rwanda is something we can explore more because I do think that a part of happiness that's interesting that we don't understand is how relative it really is.
Yeah.
That once you either grow up with luxury or you have access to so much luxury and you think that anyone who doesn't have this must feel so unhappy. And to a degree, we should be grateful for the things we have. But I mean, even people who don't have anything can find happiness, and it's so weird.
Yeah, it's really crazy because like I think one of the highlights from that trip was just like seeing how hospitable people were and just so loving even when their circumstances were unlike anything you'll see here. Like they were just, I mean, shacks and the clothing, like just lack of food, water. Like there's so many things that they lack there, but they're still so happy, right? They're so joyful and they're so inviting to each and every one of us, especially as Americans, right? But you find happiness in the little things that you have, and you know, everything is a gift. So
I wonder what it really is. Do you think there is like a central source to happiness, or like how does one achieve it? like what did they have that a lot of unhappy people don't have that allows them to live in such a way?
I don't know. Maybe they want more, you know, and they're not satisfied with what they have, so they always want more. But if you're always going for something more, you'll never be happy, because if you always want more, there's always going to be something more to achieve, more to get. And you'll never, I mean, happy in the moment that you got that, but like if you're always going for something more, you'll never be truly happy. And I mean,
it could also just be family.
Yeah,
I feel like that's a big one.
Yeah, I mean, the way you grow up is also a big thing, right? And so,
or just having fake family around you.
Yeah.
So I wonder, like, that's something I've been learning a lot more about recently, like how much of happiness is connected to just having family and community.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it also, like, there's a lot of aspects that go into that, like how you're raised, who you're around. You know, if you're in a broken home, that's really hard. But if you're in a solid home, like, it makes it more loving. You know, makes it easier in a sense. But yeah, happiness is a goal that strive for every day. And so I don't think there's necessarily like someone achieves happiness for the rest of their life. But there's like pockets of happiness, I'd say, because like we said, like there's lives where you have struggles, like that's not happy, you know, but just viewing happiness in the light of struggles, like these little pockets of happiness. So, yeah,
because I don't know, there are a lot of people that are pretty unhappy these days. And sure, one part of it could be the constant striving, which I don't know, I feel like striving can be a fun part of life too. So I'm not sure really why, like sure, we can have like a mindset shift about have a different way of looking at things, but sometimes for a lot of people it's not enough. Like for some people they're just like either after years of like patterns, they're just so inherently unhappy. Maybe you've even met some people like that I don't know, like someone will be so rude to me, I don't understand it. Like why do people like feel the need to be so rude, for example? Right. I don't know where that comes from.
Yeah, I mean, I think in a scenario like that, you just kind of have to take a step back and be like, maybe they have something going on at home. Maybe they have something going on with their job. You know, like there's so many other things that just tie into that. And I think why people are so ungrateful sometimes is because I think it boils down to like jealousy and just comparing to other people. When you see someone else in a luxury, I don't know, home, right? Like, I mean, it's a natural desire to want that because it's just like a luxury lifestyle. And I mean, it's just an ease to life. And so when you compare, you become ungrateful because you want something better. And so you're ungrateful for what you have now. So I think one of the big things with the people in Rwanda is like, I don't think they necessarily even compared their lives to Americans at all, because if they did, I mean, if I was in Rwanda and I was living in Rwanda and I saw, you know, these places, you know what I'm saying, in homes that we have here, it's
I
like
probably couldn't even imagine it.
Right. I'd be super ungrateful because, I mean, I want that, you know, why can't I have that, you know, and I'm here, you know what I'm saying? So,
I feel like if they came here, they'd be scared.
Yeah, I mean,
like, what's going on?
It's a whole different lifestyle, you know what I mean? But yeah, I think it just boils down to like, don't compare yourself to others and don't be jealous about what other people have, because there's a reason you're in a spot that you're in right now. So
yeah. I was in India over the summer, and we were staying with some of our family, my dad's side of the family, who is in some small village, far deep, like away from the city. And I mean, great lifestyle there. Everyone's happy. Don't have as much as we have here. But I just thought about when I flew back into EWR, and I'm just like driving on the I-95 giant like 12-lane highways. Mm-hmm. I'm just thinking, if they came here and saw this, like, what would go through their head? Like, this is insane.
Yeah, it's a whole different lifestyle. Yeah, I mean, yeah, but just don't compare it to other people and just be content with what you have, and then you'll find happiness for sure. But if you compare, it's like you're always trying to reach something that's essentially better in a sense, and so you become ungrateful for what you have. So
do you think we should like not compare at all, or do you think some comparing is fine?
Don't compare. It's just jealousy. It's like, you know, I mean, so many people have it better than me. Like, I see people all the time here just going out and partying when like I have homework assignments. Like, what the frick? Like, it doesn't even make any sense. Like, how are they partying and like still doing school stuff? You know what I'm saying? And so just don't compare with other people, because they have their own lives and they have their own ways of life, and your life is not the same as mine, mm-hmm. and nor is it to anybody else's. It's your life that you make of it. And yeah, just don't compare it to other people, because it's your own. Make it your own, right? So
I will say that for a lot of either middle school or high school, I didn't like parts of who I was, and I would compare.
Wait, what do you mean?
In terms of my lifestyle, like who I was, the things, whether it's like my physique or my social skills or my athletic skills or academic skills, whatever it is, I guess there was a sense of dissatisfactoriness in me that I didn't like parts of who I was, and I would compare myself to people around me, and sure, that made me feel negative emotion for a while, but it also drove me to build everything I have today.
Yeah, so there's that other aspect too, is like, cause when I'm a big like guy in the gym, and so are you. Like, you see these guys that are like huge muscles, and like it's like, dude, I want to be like that big. You know what I'm saying? So sometimes it can drive you, yeah, for sure. But then you just got to be careful with the way you compare. If it's for something like you're ungrateful for, and you really can't change, then that just kind of causes that like unhappiness. But if it's something that like, hey, you can work towards this, like especially in the gym, like there's big, like you can work to be super big, you know what I'm saying? You can be super strong. That's something you can work for too. So it also drives people. And I mean, that's the big thing with athletics too, is like you see other people achieving such good feats, and then it's like, oh, I want to do that same thing. So you work towards that. But in the midst of that, I think you're also just ungrateful for what you are, like the spot you're in that time. So yes, I totally agree that like it can definitely push you, but I also think that like you just should be cautious the way you compare to other people. So
yeah, that's interesting, because I guess people will say they're comparing themselves. Am I doing it a different way? Because I feel like when I compare myself these days, it's almost exciting in a way. Like, I see someone in the gym who's jacked, like it's almost inspiring, and it makes me smile, and I'm like, I can't wait to like do more of this. You know? It's,
so it can push you in that way, but then you also can't look at it like, I don't know, in an ungrateful way for what you have. Don't like when you compare, don't make it seem that like, oh, what I have is bad right now, so I want something better.
That makes sense. Yeah. What do you mean in an ungrateful way? Can you define that a little bit more?
Yeah, I mean, so like for example, like I saw a bunch of athletes when I was growing up, like 6'1", you know, like super tall and super strong, you know, and so I was just like, in a sense, I was like, shoot, like why was I given a height of 5'7"? Like I can't really do much with that, you know what I'm saying? And so it's just in a ungrateful sense of like, I hate my height, you know. I mean, I still kind of like, I still struggle with that, but then also in a sense there's just like the freedom, just being like grateful for like not comparing it to other people, but just being grateful for the gift of height, you know what I'm saying?
That makes sense, because that's less in your control.
Yeah,
there's not much you can do about it.
Yeah, the things in your control, you shouldn't even like. It's easier said than done, obviously, but you shouldn't worry about them, because again, you can't control it.
I wonder for like how many parts of life does that apply? It seems that height is a big one in your life. It's probably been a big one in my life for a decent amount of time. I feel like you do have control over most things, you know?
Yeah, in a sense, I think you can always boil down to like finding a way that you can control it. But then at the end of the day, how much of like that control is going to change that, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, there's definitely things you can change, obviously, like physique you can change, you know, academics you can change. Like there's all these things you can work for, but then also, I mean, there's a certain level of academics that you can only achieve, right? Just because of your capacity that you were born with, you know, so.
It's a good way to look at it. I like that for sure. So can you tell me more about this trip to Rwanda? Was that with like your church group or with your family?
It was with a multicultural club at my high school.
I think you told me about this.
Yeah.
Tell me more.
It was awesome. So we went there for about a week, I think. And so we tend to promote cross-cultural exchange. And so it's just trying to just promote this way of communication where we can just learn each other's stories and just hear people out, like something like this, right? Like you just hear other people's stories, where they came from, their perspectives on life. And so that was one big thing that we went to. So we obviously toured a lot of places in Rwanda. There was a big homicide in Rwanda. I don't know how long ago, but that was a big thing as well. So we went to a memorial there as well.
Do you know about like what details about that event?
The homicide?
Yeah.
Or the genocide, I think it's called.
Yeah.
A lot of people killed, for sure.
What was like the whole political?
It was something with the tribes, I'm pretty sure. It was just a takeover of tribes or something. I wish I knew the exact.
It's okay if you don't. I don't want to push you.
Yeah, it was something with tribes or something like that. But yeah, one tribe just like saw the other one as inferior, so might as well, like, it was just kind of like the Nazi regime where like the Germans saw the Jews as like inferior. So yeah, so it was just something like that. But I think one pivotal moment in that whole, like, I think I just started crying when I saw this. It was like I was at the memorial and there was a spot where there was a see-through glass, and when you look down, you could see caskets of people that died in the genocide. Wow. I think like when I saw that, I think I just like had some tears in my eyes. Like it was just so impactful. Like it makes me just like almost tear up right now. It's like it was just so impactful to see like people died and suffered because of what other people thought of them.
That just makes you question humanity as a whole.
Yeah.
I kind of want to pull up pictures of this. I wonder if I can find it. You think I can find it somewhere?
What are you looking for? The genocide?
The memorial site? What was it called?
Just look up Rwanda Genocide Memorial. And then it like, maybe it'll say something like open casket.
Yeah, I see Kigali Genocide Memorial. Yeah.
And then maybe add onto it like open casket.
Open casket.
Not open casket, like
glass.
Yeah, glass
casket.
Yeah, or something like that. There might be a picture of it.
Oh yeah. So this is indoor?
Yeah,
Is this what it is? Oh, sorry. Like this? No. Maybe like this.
Picture. It was like
your phone
it was just like that, that. Yeah, you look through the glass down under, and there was like a bunch of caskets. Yeah, that was definitely so impactful.
I'm curious about this genocide in general. Just let's get some details about it.
Yeah, for sure. Pull it up. It was something with tribes, like Tutsi and something.
Oh, I think I've heard about this. We already read a book about this.
It's something like that. I was like, I'm assuming it was something like they saw. Like a superior race thought that the other one was inferior, so
we learned about this in my French class.
Oh, because it involves the French. It involves French. Yeah.
Let's ask AI, Gemini.
Oh, chat.
We're actually on Gemini today.
Oh, nice.
All right, the Rwanda Genocide, also known as the genocide against the Tutsi, was a horrific event that occurred in Rwanda from April 7th to July 1994. During this period, members of the Hutu ethnic majority with the support of the government systematically murdered an estimated 800,000 people.
Yeah, sounds about right.
Wow, that's almost 1 million people.
That's a lot.
Primarily from the Tutsi minority group as well as moderate Hutu.
It's very sad.
Genocide was a culmination of decades of ethnic tension fueled by colonial policies that divided the population and instilled hatred between the groups. It's extreme, man.
Yeah.
Like nobody really even talked about. I feel like a lot of people don't know about this.
No, yeah, it's definitely unheard of. There's a lot of genocides I think a lot of people have unheard of, and they kind of uncovered that at that memorial. There's a lot of other things, but yeah, it was definitely sad to see. And then like when you're up to it and you actually see it, it's life changing. So
What's the situation in Rwanda now? Do you know like how it is now? How the governments are and everything?
I think it's pretty strict. Like there's no, I think there's like there's like a dress code that females have to wear. And then there's also, it's a very clean environment.
Do you know which group is in charge right now? Is it the Hutu or?
I think that's all. I think that whole thing is dismantled. I think it's more of like
more modern group.
I cannot tell you. Yeah. But it's yeah, it's definitely very very secure.
Yeah. So the current president's name is, or whatever. President of Rwanda is Paul Kagame. But I wonder what group is in power.
It might just be a central government, to be honest. I don't know if it's I feel like there'd be more restrictions if it was like a group in power.
Yeah. So, yeah, I can't really find anything about it. But there's all these strict rules currently about,
they're very clean. Yeah. They're very clean.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So, with religion as a big value in your life, and you see events like this happen.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on humanity as a whole, and do you have faith in the good of humanity?
That's a tough question. I mean, it just boils down to the self, right? Like, are you willing to like see these things and change? You know, because it takes the whole tribe of people here in the world to change. You know, just can't be just one person. I mean, one person can influence a lot of people, but at the end of the day, there needs to be a revival in oneself. And I mean,
what do you mean by revival in oneself?
Like just like some conviction to be like, hey, the things I'm doing, like let's say like I'm just in a bad spot, you know, getting drunk every day, you know, smoking, like all these things, all these bad things. You need to have a conviction to be like, hey, what I'm doing right now is wrong, and I should probably change it for the better of myself and for the other people around me. And so, everyone needs to kind of have that like revival and that conviction. And I think once they realize like, hey, this is not where I want to be right now, and there's something definitely better, and especially like I found that in Christ. So there's definitely something better to find. And yeah, I would say I have hope in humanity because I think someday, there's instances like, for example, like COVID. I mean, it just kind of opened your eyes to like lives are lost, and in that sense, just to change some aspect of your life to make life better for other people. And I think when you start caring less about yourself and more about other people, like obviously still care about yourself, but also like think about other people when you're making choices, definitely helps me as well. So yeah, obviously tomorrow is not going to be like this whole unity thing in the world, you know, we're still gonna have a division, and it might even get worse. So, but I have hope I hope so. You know, I hope it gets better. But at the end of the day, it's up to that person. No one can really change you unless you want to change yourself. So
I think a lot of people that might be interested in religion who can see a video like this and see like the positive impact it's made on your life and a lot of people's life sometimes see religion used by the wrong actors and events like this occur, and then they feel this resistance to it. They hear the word religion, and they hear all the forced assignments that were forced onto them when they were children, and they hear about these genocides and horrific events in history. A lot of them have somehow religion baked into them, whether it's Christianity or not. I think it's often linked, associated in people's brains as like these negative, horrific world events. So when people are found in like this dichotomy of I heard religion is a good thing, but I see you doing these bad things, like where do you meet in the middle, and what would you say to those people?
So I struggled with that a lot, and because I went to like the youth group I went to, the people that were there were different when they were outside of the church, you know what I'm saying? So there were, some people would go into church, you know, hands and on their knees for Jesus, but then other things like they're doing other things that are not in alignment with what they were worshiping, you know what I'm saying? And it reminds me of the story of like the Apostle Paul. Apostle Paul. Yeah, so he was in the Bible. He was one of the most influential preachers of the Bible, or preachers of Christianity, essentially. But before, when he was named Saul, he persecuted Christians and literally killed Christians. But then all of a sudden now he's this whole apostle where he's preaching Christianity and it's his sole livelihood, right? Like, and then someone sees that and just like, you literally killed Christians. Why should I follow being a Christian? Like, because, yeah. And I think one thing about Christianity, which is so awesome for me, is like, you're not following Christianity, you're following Jesus, right? Like, you're following his perfect life, and not the religion, because there's going to be people, there's going to be Christians, even me, myself, I'm going to slip up. And I'm going to slip up in front of the wrong person that like is on the verge of becoming a Christian, and they see me slip up. I mean, that's going to back them away from becoming a Christian because they see my mess up, right? And so at the end of the day, just realize that like people are inherently do things that they don't want to do. But I mean, for Christianity, I think in a sense is like you're following a person and not a religion, if that makes sense. And so you're just kind of under the religion because that's what Jesus calls us. But at the end of the day, you're following Jesus in his life. But yeah, it's definitely hard because I struggle with that as well. Like,
do you still struggle with it?
I mean, yeah, sometimes it's like, oh, I see these people, like I see them in church, but then I see them elsewhere and they're like doing the complete opposite of what they were like following. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so, but at the end of the day, I kind of realize like,
how do you feel when you see that?
I mean, I feel indifferent. I'm like, why should I even follow this if this is the lifestyle that?
Do you mean the people around you who are coming with you, like students, or maybe the people that are like up front, like the priests and all?
No,
like,
so I mean, some people like I was even really close with, and just people that I saw. I mean, I saw two different lifestyles. One that was like gossiping about other people, but then the other that was worshiping Christ and totally against gossiping. You know, so it's just like. So you say one thing, but you do the other thing. Like, what am I supposed to follow? If that's Christianity, I don't want to be two-sided.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I just want one side, you know. So it was definitely a setback. And it just made me realize, like, one thing that's been big on my heart as well is, like, I kind of see these flaws in myself as well. Like, I'll see like, a Christian in a sense, let's say, like, just lie or gossip about something. But sometimes I do the same thing as well. And so, yeah,
but does it bother you that even when you do it, you feel maybe a sense of guilt and you fix it and you try to do better versus you feel like they don't care?
I mean, when I slip up sometimes, obviously I try to fix it. And like I said, guilt is taken away from me on the cross. And so, I mean, yeah, it's hard. I kind of lost words there. But yeah, when I slip up, yeah, I mean, it's trying to fix it, but at the end of the day, you can't always strive to be perfect because you'll never be perfect. You know what I'm saying? You can strive. Let me repeat that. So, like, you can strive to be a good person, but at the end of the day, like, you're going to have flaws, you're going to mess up, and it's just about, like, I wouldn't say trying to avoid it, because even if you try to avoid it more, it makes it worse. And so it's just kind of like having the freedom to, like, be okay with messing up, and then be willing to acknowledge it and fix it, in a sense.
So is that like the mindset you apply when you feel bothered by other people not, like the two-sided face?
Yeah. I think what helps me with that, in a sense, is like I said, I'm not following the religion, I'm following the person.
Right.
And so that, like, Jesus was never like that, right? So I'm following that person, I'm not following their Christianity, because those branches, like we were talking about, like these like divisions in Christianity, they all have different beliefs, but Jesus is still the same in every single belief. You know what I'm saying? So, just viewing it in light of that and not like following the religion itself, but just following the person. So,
why do you think some people claim to be Christian, or at least try to go to church and follow these certain things, and then end up not in their own private life?
Maybe because they're worried about how other people feel about them. They're worried about the change that they're gonna make and how other people will view them based on their change. And so, like, I think that was a hard thing with me as well, and I still struggle with it. Like, being in a secular place, like, it's hard to just kind of express myself because I don't want to be attacked. You know, I don't want to be yelled at, because I hate confrontation.
Has that happened?
No. But I just hate confrontation in general, so I want to avoid it as much as possible.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, Yeah, and I mean, in a secular university, I mean, it's hard to really show truly who you want to be, because you could lose friends and you could lose potential friends, and so, but at the end of the day, that's kind of the struggle that you kind of have to deal with, and that's just because you want something that's going to make you lose friends, but at the end of the day, what you're striving for is better than just a temporary friend on earth, you know what I'm saying? So, yeah. If that makes sense.
Yeah,
it's kind of confusing, but
I was thinking about it. That's really cool. When you think about the plan God's laid out for you, you keep mentioning that it's part of like the plan God has laid out for you. Do you ever think about like what that plan is? Like, do you have a vision of like where that's going to be?
I wish I knew. I wish I knew the plan. But I obviously don't.
Aspects of it. Like,
yeah.
What do you think? Yeah.
Obviously, you look at your personality and like your personal traits, and people say, I'm a very caring person. I love to hear other people out. I love to fight for what's right. So these like kind of attributes of yourself could maybe gear you to like, hey, this is kind of where you're trending. And I mean, I think just because of the way I care for other people, at least I think I do, that I'm gearing more towards being like pre-med and like focusing on that realm, just because the way I care about other people and I want people to have a second chance at life. And so I think that's kind of like how you can see into God's plan for you. But at the same time, I could be going this way and then all of a sudden like, oh, roadblock, I need to go the complete opposite direction, So, I just look at like your personality traits. Like for you, for example, like you love hearing other people's stories. So something like in that kind of realm that like you love hearing people out and like hearing them intently, in that kind of realm, that could be where your path is going. But at the end of the day, you just don't know, right? You just don't know. So
yeah. So gotta just take it one step at a time. Like lean into what feels correct until you kind of have to maneuver, adjust, and kind of enjoy the journey, I guess.
Yeah, and be willing to adjust, like, and be ready, and don't be set on just one thing, but be willing to just be ready for something new. Just being totally transparent, just being willing to like be like, hey, like for me, for example, like, hey, God, if you want me this way, I'll follow. But if you want me this way, even though it's not what I want, it's probably what you want. So I'm going to follow you in that. And that's a hard choice, but like I said, because that's like for baseball as well. I had to give up what I loved. So
for whatever the plan might be.
Yeah. So
cool.
But I'm glad I did it.
It's amazing, dude. When you think about religion, and I'm sure at some point in your life you've heard these narratives that talk about the insignificance of humans. Whether you start thinking about the scale of the universe or narratives about random chance and coincidence that kind of put us here, and a lot of the more recent emerging in like the last 500, 600 years of the scientific theory, the slowing death of religion, the growth of secular culture, people saying that life is all just about stimulating yourself or just enjoying yourself, and then like who knows where heaven is, there's no evidence to prove that, etc. And when you hear those narratives about the insignificance of humanity and the insignificance of just being alive, and when people say it's all just like fairy tales and stories, like how do you feel when you hear those kind of narratives, and how do you respond to that?
It's hard because sometimes like it's hard because the lifestyle that some people live, like that, like, going and not really worrying about school too much, but just going out and partying, having fun, like it's just alluring to want to go do that, because like, hey, why not? What if, there's always that what if, like, what if this isn't really real? What if what I'm doing is, like, what I'm believing in is not real? But I think for me, there's been plenty of instances where I've seen God work in my life. He saved my dad when I was 7 years old, just from like a brain aneurysm. So
you're willing to share that story?
Yeah. I think he's okay with it. So so when I was 7 years old, my dad had a seizure. I had a ruptured brain aneurysm. So if you know what a brain aneurysm is, it's basically where your arteries in your brain, so blood flows through your arteries, right? And then an aneurysm is like where a pocket forms. And so a ruptured one is where it pops. And so you have blood in your brain. And so his ruptured. And so he went to the hospital, he was rushed to the hospital in Arizona, something like that, because he was on a trip at the time.
Do you know how that happens, or is it just randomly?
It's random.
Wow.
Yeah, it's random.
So it can happen to anyone, anywhere.
Yeah. And I actually...
Are there risk factors for it, or...?
I'm not sure.
I can search anything up.
If you look up the survival rate of ruptured brain aneurysms. Okay. And I just kind of want to hear this stat, because I think it's very low. Survival rate of ruptured brain aneurysm.
All right. according to AI, the survival rate for a ruptured brain aneurysm has improved over time, but it's still around 60 to 70%, which
So
that's actually pretty big because that's like 1 in 3 can just die.
Yeah,
That's
so
crazy.
it's very, yeah, it's very, I would say it's unlikely for someone to survive a brain aneurysm, especially at his age. So,
At his age too, that's another risk factor.
yeah, so, and yeah, I don't really think there's much risk because, like, it's
But-
not genetic. I was worried about that for the longest time, too. It's not genetic.
Okay.
It's just kind of random. And obviously, when I was 7 years old, it's hard to really grasp what's going on.
Didn't really realize it.
Yeah, until I, like, till now and all that. But I do honestly believe from the bottom of my heart that, like, God's hand was on my dad in that instance. And whether you say it or not, whether someone says, oh, it's just by chance, he was the 2 out of 3 that survived, I don't care. BS. Like, I don't care. I do truly believe that God's hand was on my dad because...
Well, sometimes there's so many coincidences that it just can't be a coincidence anymore.
Yeah, so I
right?
try not to believe in coincidences or, like, those superstitions and all that. But, yeah, I truly do believe his hand was on my dad. And then, because his whole story changed my family dynamic, just about how much we care about each other. And, like, the perspective that I have is not taking anything for granted. Like, previously before that, I can't really recall what I was doing at 7 years old, but, like, maybe I was taking my life for granted with my family. And so at the moment where, like, it could just change in an instant, where you lose your dad, like, you lose your family member or something,
That'd
like,
be crazy.
I would probably not be here right now. You know what I'm saying? Like, if I lose my father, like, my family is, there's one parent, sheltering and feeding, 4 children, including me. I mean, it changes your whole life. And so in a blink of an eye, like, that can all just change. And so obviously at 7 years old, I didn't think about all this. But now that I kind of grow into it and kind of realize, it definitely changed the way I view life, even when I was at such a young age. But now that I see it fully, so I can't remember what question we were talking about, though.
No matter.
Yeah.
I feel like even if you are just 7 years old, you're still old enough to kind of know what's happening. And it could still, I think those moments when you're young are the moments when even big emotional events like register and sit in your brain, whether in a negative way in trauma or even in a positive way, that the lessons you learned there are lessons to stick with you for the rest of life. So I don't think it's weird to me that even at 7 years old, like, right at that moment, the gratitude you felt for your father or the value of family just stuck there. And it's like, that's part of you.
I do vividly remember walking through the hospital. I can still see it. I'm, like, walking around the corner of a bend, and there's, like, a hospital room in there, or there's a room in there, there's a room in there. And these are all people that are, like, what's the word? I don't know, just in very, like, risky conditions, I'd say. Like, they're on near death, or, like, close to it. And so I was walking around the bend. I remember I saw, like, a bunch of people just laying in their bed. And, yeah, it was just really hard to see, because one of those was my dad, right? And so when it's real life to you, you really understand. And that kind of, I don't want to get, like, political, but, like, especially when COVID was happening, I heard a lot of people saying, like, oh, why wear these masks? This is stupid. Like, all this, why get vaccinated? And then my dad said something like, he told one of my friends, he told me to tell one of my friends, like, hey, I will take you through the hospital and I'll show you a different perspective of life. There's people on deathbeds. Like, once you put in perspective and it, like, actually impacts you, I mean, that's what's unfortunate, because once it impacts you, you start to change and you start to realize. But if it doesn't impact you, it doesn't involve you, you don't really recognize it.
Yeah, it's different about talking about things in theory versus, like, seeing it in front of your own eyes.
Yeah, so for older people to really grasp, I believe, what's going on is, like, it has to happen to them individually and has to impact them in some way. But, like, for this, like, whole masking thing, if you didn't lose a family member, it's not really that significant to you because you had no effect of it, or you had no loss to it because there was nothing that happened to you, right? But then there's people that, like, lose family members, a million, like, victims of this illness, right? That, like, had to go through this, and that's why they wear the mask. And so it's being considerate about other people, I think, is when it, like, boils down to that. But yeah.
Did you ever talk to your dad about, like, how he mentally responded to the situation, like how it changed?
Like his aneurysm?
Yeah, or just, like, his own, like, response to life. And also, I think with some of these brain aneurysms, like, almost everyone has some kind of permanent damage to their brain. Is that true with him, or is he okay now?
I don't think so. He's such a chill dude. But I think that, like, the biggest thing, they had to cut his hearing, and so that was just part of the procedure. So or they had to. I think they couldn't avoid it, so that just had to happen. But I mean, one of his perspectives on life that he really implements, and I'm starting to like really realize, is like not taking life for granted and just doing all you can while you're here, because you never know how much time you have left. So like we do a lot of family trips, do a lot of these other extracurricular things. And at the moment, like sometimes I just don't really want to, like, I'll be honest, I don't really want to travel that much because I want to be home with my friends. Like I love my home and all that, but like at the same time, you don't know how much you have left. And so he really tries to impress that and tries to give us all the opportunities we can, because the amount of opportunities you have, you don't know how many you have left, and you don't know when the last day you breathe, right? It could be tomorrow morning, you know. So he's just trying to like for him, it was right then and there, like just instant, like just life could change. And so it's just that new perspective on life, like that he really impresses, and that's just what he picks up is like, yeah, I'm very grateful, and he's just trying to provide the most opportunities we can before it's all gone, you know, because you never know when it's gone. So
yeah, it can happen quick before you know it, and then you're about to realize how valuable everything around you really is. Yeah. You did research in Parkinson's disease, right? Yeah. Tell me about that, because it's along similar lines here. So Parkinson's disease damages the motor cortex, right?
Yeah, so it's death to neurons in your substantia nigra. It's part of your brain. It's death to neurons that release dopamine. Dopamine is a big thing, and when it's involving like movement and all this other daily functions. And so when you kill these neurons in your brain, you have less dopamine, and therefore your movements kind of messed up.
So is that why people with Parkinson's also have a higher chance of depression, anxiety, and all that?
Yeah, so that's also a big factor, because I don't really know the exact science behind it, but it also, there's stuff with like within the brain, and like I forgot what the name of the part of the brain was called. But yeah, it can affect memory, and like this why you have dementia and all this stuff, depression, all that. So I'm just helping volunteer right now, and so I'm trying to get a grasp of what's really going on. I haven't obviously been a student here a lot, so I don't really know.
This just started like just now.
Yeah, I don't really understand the full biology behind it, but what I do know is like right now we're just working on a model to show that Parkinson's disease works.
What do you mean?
So in order to study Parkinson's, you first have to put it in a model to show that like it does work, so then you can start testing. So we do it
basically
in mice.
Show that someone has it and someone doesn't have
it. So you're trying to replicate Parkinson's in a mouse. Because you obviously can't do it in a human, or else you're just going to kill the human, right? You don't want to do that. So although killing mice is probably unethical, but that's a whole different debate. So but yeah, we do it in mice. So you give them Parkinson's, but you have to make sure that model works first. So you give a mouse, with Parkinson's, without, you test that to see if it actually works. And so you do brain scans and all that. So that's what I'm working on right now, is just brain scans, just detecting this like aggregation. It's just like a bunch of like aggregated proteins that just clump up, and that's what kind of kills the cell. So or kills the neuron. So that's what we're working on right now. That's what I'm working on with. But the PhD student, or I think he's a PhD student, but the guy I'm working with, Daniel, he's a super great guy. He's definitely teaching me a lot, and I'm probably like a hassle to deal with because I don't really know all of it, but I'm learning. So, but yeah, it's been a lot of fun just learning and just like trying to make the world a better place for people that have Parkinson's, and like giving them a second chance at life. So
yeah, that stack of books you got there, the bottom book, I can show it to you afterwards after you're done filming, but it's called The Tale of Dueling, or something like that. My friend gifted it to me because he studies neuroscience. He graduated from Rutgers in 2014, I think. He told me that I told him I was interested in neuroscience. So he just gave me the book, and he said, just take it. Apparently it's a book about the brain. So I have not read it yet, because I'm still reading. I want to read it. I'm still reading Outlive, but honestly, since I'm not reading it right now, if you want, you can borrow it and read it if you want. But
okay, cool.
So,
sweet.
I don't even know what it's about, so don't ask me. But it's about neuroscience, so that's
cool.
Okay,
cool.
Yeah. So what is your lab doing? Are you trying to find treatment, or?
I think that's probably the end goal, is like, how can we avoid Parkinson's in patients? And,
so prevention or cure?
Yeah, prevention and cure as well. I think that's okay. You don't really know like until you kind of get there at that point. But they did have like this idea, like this whole like antibody that could prevent like this whole pathway from happening. But then there's also like these other effects that also happen. So I think, probably at the end of the day is like finding a cure for patients so that they don't have to deal with this memory loss, this dementia, this like depression, anxiety, all these things. Then there's also like the movement and daily functions and all that, the motor functions. So yeah, it's probably the end goal. I haven't really asked him about like what is really their end goal, because right now we're just kind of focusing on the model of the work.
Project, yeah.
Yeah, so.
Wow, dude. I mean, I know with dementia and a lot of the other brain impairments and diseases,
Yeah.
I think brain neurological disorders are probably the scariest out of any kind of injury, just because when you start messing around with the brain, it gets kind of scary with memory loss and people not remembering names, people not remembering simple details, and that's what starts to make you question about like what really is life.
Yeah, it's sad.
You know, because I think we associate so much of our words and personality and identity with life, and the second one, it's almost just like gone away, but they're still alive. It's like, wait, what else is there? It's like scary. But I think that with Parkinson's, I know it's primarily the motor cortex that's damaged. So they're mainly either have like random movements or they have difficulty moving parts of their body. I know with Nolan, who is the first Neuralink patient, when he damaged his motor cortex, he just became paralyzed from the neck down. But he still could think properly, not depressed or anxious, but he was like, everything in his brain was fine except for the fact that he couldn't move a single bone in his body neck down. So I think everyone has a different response. So it doesn't have Parkinson's, that's different. Yeah. But just thinking about like damage to the brain in general. Right. So do people who get Parkinson's, how much of it is like memory loss as well and stuff, or how much of it is just primarily just like movements?
I think it depends on the patient, like how much it affects. I don't necessarily, because I don't want to like lie about anything, because I don't really understand it that much. But I mean, I think it just varies on the patient, like how much they're affected from this aggregation in the brain, how much the death of these neurons in the brain. Like maybe you can quantify, like, does this amount of death, this many like death to neurons, like does this coincide with this effect or whatever? So I mean, that's probably like also something you can find as well. But yeah, it probably just depends on the patient, how they respond to Parkinson's and the severity of the disease as well. But I'm still kind of looking into it, trying to understand it as well. I mean, so yeah, that's my best answer. But.
Wow. So you're planning to do on the pre-med track, you're majoring in neuroscience?
Yep.
Do you have like visions of like careers yet? Do you want to become a doctor? Neurologist. Neurologist. Neurologist.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. What is it just primarily like a doctor for brains or research on brains?
Yeah, so I just kind of want to be a physician. So you basically just like see patients and stuff, just help them out, all that stuff. I don't really want to do surgery. It's probably too much stress.
That's a lot.
But yeah, I just love the brain, especially after what happened to my dad. It's like, I just want to learn more about the brain because it's so complex. There's so much more to learn. There's still stuff to learn today. And so
it's so fascinating too.
Yeah, no, it's awesome. It's awesome. There's so much to learn. It's like, I mean, it's just the center of your existence, like how you function, like that's through your brain. So it's so interesting. And then like I just have a heart towards health. So I mean, that's just kind of two and two coincide, you know what I'm saying? So
amazing. Yeah. I think I've talked to some of my pre-med friends and I've recommended this book to everyone, even though I haven't finished it yet, but I think that everyone in pre-med should read Outlive by Peter T. Have you heard this book? Or
Oh no, I haven't even heard of it.
It's I think it's a great book just because it's like a very clear. I think that if you probably observed that in the last couple of decades, the culture of gym and exercise and all that has grown in our community and stuff. And what he's basically outlining, he went to Johns Hopkins, he's been an MD, et cetera, and he basically sees like a new wave of medicine coming in where we're shifting from reactive care to preventative care, where instead of saying that, okay, now you have cardiovascular disease, so we're going to give you statins, or now you have obesity, so we're going to give you Ozempic, or now you're depressed, so we're going to give you SSRI. We're going to instead be saying that we don't want you to get cardiovascular disease, so we're going to put you in the gym, and we don't want you to get depressed, so we're going to fix your diet. Yeah. And he's saying that it's going to be a merging between, like currently the pharmaceutical industry is incentivized to keep selling the drugs, but he sees a vision of it. He calls it medicine 3.0 of our shift, where we're going to be doing more preventative care in link with everything and finding like new incentives for the pharmaceutical industry through other things that they can like sell and market, etc. And I think that it does such a good breakdown of like the biggest killers, including neurological disease. He had a whole chapter about like explaining how all these diseases formulate and work, and then like how we can actually prevent it and all that. And I thought it was pretty cool. And I feel like you'd really enjoy this book.
Yeah. It sounds super cool. Yeah, that makes sense though. Like, especially after COVID, there was a huge influx of just people in the gym, just like making healthy. I mean, my dad just kind of speaks on that all day. It's like, you just need to be healthier, eat healthier, exercise, these like crucial things in life, and you can prevent all these things. Like, I kind of like that. Like, yeah, it really makes sense. Like a lot of medicine nowadays is reactionary instead of prevention. and like that's super. Yeah, no, yeah, that's definitely so true. Yeah, and there's like lifestyle changes that you can to prevent that kind of stuff. So people do that all the time.
Take their silencers off their car, sell it for the. I know everyone can hear that on audio.
Yeah.
Anyways.
But yeah, prevention. Yeah, I can definitely see that for sure because there's a lot more people going to the gym and changing habits. And I mean the whole like impact of social media as well, just like seeing people and like
that's been cool.
Yeah, no, it's been awesome. Like I think one big thing about TikTok, I don't even have it, but one thing that I did like was just the influence of like gym influencers and all that stuff and like the health promotions on that.
That's something I think is a good thing.
Yeah, like, no, it's definitely a good thing for sure. But then it can also be misleading because like people provide false information.
Yeah, that's a big one too.
Yeah, so that's a big thing as well. But yeah, no, it's been super cool, and that definitely makes sense for sure. Yeah. Yeah,
I mean, I've seen a lot of misinformation on TikTok just because everyone wants to tell you that their workout program's the best, and you're doing all your workouts wrong and eating wrong. But I just think that, sure, those problems exist, and sure, we should like step away from that. But as a whole, if it weren't for that, like I feel like 80% of people wouldn't even be in the gym right now. Like it's become such a cool cultural thing where it's like it's almost like normal that everyone goes to the gym. And I don't know, it wasn't like that before, you know.
Yeah, and maybe just COVID promoted that, but like I think that was
that's what I started too. So
big, yeah. Like once COVID came, and it was just like stay at home and like do your like everyone just you couldn't really go anywhere, so you might as well do exercise at your home, right? So and then the thing with like training programs and which one's best for you, I think it really boils down to just like yourself too. Like you can like get advice from other people, but at the end of the day it's your own body, and like your own body's going to respond in your own way, and it's going to grow in your own way. It's not going to like follow, you know, those big guys, you know what I'm saying? So but yeah
cool. We're back. Sorry, we had the camera issues. Apologies that you had to see Noah's face and not my face for 10 minutes. But yeah, what were we talking about? The gym. Right. Yeah. Do you remember the first time you went to the gym?
It was at my home, and I actually took a picture of myself like this.
See if you can find it. Send it to me. I'll put it up on the screen.
Huh?
I'll put it up on the screen if you can find it.
Oh, picture of me like this?
Yeah.
It's on my old snaps. I don't know if I can probably find it. Okay. Yeah, but it's just like me. I think I had a headband on, and I was like, dude, this is going to be a day. And like, I think it was cool too to like kind of track your progress. That's also a big thing cool because it kind of like it kind of motivates you to be like, oh, I'm making this much progress. And so, yeah, I think that was like the first time I was at my home. I was like, I was really stuck up on biceps because like you see guys with like big arms, but you also like your arm is like 2/3 your triceps. So like that's
true.
Like that's when I started to realize like triceps also a big thing. So but yeah, I think I started just really doing biceps, and then I got really into legs. I love doing leg workouts. Not anymore. I do not like them anymore. But I did like them for the longest time. Yeah, I think that's I don't know when it was. It was probably COVID. I think it started. Yeah. I've always done training just for baseball and stuff, but not like weights, like specific training. So.
Yeah, I mean, I think I was talking about with one of my friends a couple days ago in the gym, and maybe this morning. I would just remember like the first time I lifted. Yeah. And I was in my home. I think it was COVID, maybe one of those summers, and my dad had a couple of dumbbells and like a bench, an easy bar, and that's all we had. Yep. And I thought, okay, this is fine. Like I'm doing this. It just feels so weird. Like I'm benching with the easy bar or whatever. Like I'm just like picking up the weights, and it's like okay, this feels fine. And the pain the next day was just so weird. I couldn't get out of bed. Like everything was hurting everywhere. A constant pain all day. And like I know we joke about gym soreness, but it's like I just remember like everything hurt for like all day, and it was so weird.
Right. Yeah. No, it's definitely you get sore. And I think also one big thing that helped me with gym is just kind of understanding how it works. Because it's like, oh, I could just be like lifting these weights. What does this even do? And so it's kind of cool to understand how it actually works, like the anatomy of it. But yeah, no, that's kind of funny that you remember like the soreness. I still remember like all the times I could just get sore from like leg workouts. Those actually suck.
I enjoy them now though.
Those last like 4 to 5 days. But then like I also kind of like being sore because it shows that you did work.
Yeah, I love being sore. I'm like, okay, now it's working.
Because if you're not sore the next day, it's like, did I even like push myself that hard? You know what I'm saying? Yeah, so that's why I don't really like stretching that much. But you should stretch for sure.
Definitely. I don't do it either, but I should.
No, that's definitely understandable.
Yeah. I mean, there's I remember also, I never really cared about biceps for a while because I think I asked my coach once, like I showed him like a bunch of programs I built, and he's like the strength coach at our old school, and I showed him, he's like, well, doing all those curls are not going to give you big biceps. And I was like, my whole back and bi workout was like back exercise curl, and then back and forth. So after that day, like I just stopped doing bicep curls a lot.
Oh, really?
And then I ended up like I think this year, like I had this, my biceps were my smallest muscle. I'm like, why is that happening? So I started making my back and bi days like more. I started doing more biceps training, and I actually like look pretty good now. I guess like they're more balanced out now.
Right.
But I mean, I think this fall term at Michigan has been like one of a good era of lifting. I feel like you go through eras of lifting where good, bad. But like, summer was like not great, honestly.
No, yeah.
But I mean, I don't know. Weight's been going up and PRs. I went for 225 this morning and I failed.
Oh, word?
Yeah.
Like squat or bench?
On bench.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Nice.
But it was close. This month we're gonna get it.
Nice. I am way far from that.
It's all right, dude. I think the weird thing with my bench is that it was so low for so long, and then one day, just like a couple of weeks, it just went up.
Yeah, I
so
need
it's
that
like,
for sure.
It'll happen.
Yeah, because I was up really high one time, but then all of a sudden I started, because I think it was off season. Then once I got in season, I don't really lift that much, because I just have practice every single day. So it's hard to balance for it. Yeah, but no, yeah. Working out is a lot of fun, and especially it can really change, like you said. It can fluctuate because just of your circumstances, and if you're not really like feeling it that day, you'll kind of just skip, and that's kind of like the mentality that I've helped overcome. Is like, it doesn't matter how you feel, like especially like when I was working for that goal of playing college baseball, like it did not matter how I felt. You need to go put in work, like, so it's just like that driving force. But obviously now that I'm like here, it's not really that driving of a force, but that could definitely, just being consistent is a big thing.
Did you enjoy that grind?
Yeah, I did.
It sounds fun.
Yeah, because it's improving yourself, right? You're
Yeah.
improving yourself, and you're reaching these like goals, like these smaller goals for an end goal, and it's like those small achievements that you celebrate, like over and over. But it's also like bettering yourself and like being 1% better every single day. How can I be better today and tomorrow, and like all these things. So I did really enjoy it. The social aspect, not really, because like obviously I was by myself the whole time. But then once I like kind of got a community and then started lifting with a community, like that was a lot of fun as well. So, but I did like the grind by myself for a while, and that's kind of why I stuck with it, because I just kind of enjoyed it, and I liked working on myself, just being in my own element. I kind of like being by myself right now anyway, because I'm not really that social, but no, I did really enjoy it. I mean, obviously, was it the greatest for my mental health? Probably not, but I mean, from a driving standpoint, just working towards your goal, it was definitely a step above most people. So.
I feel like you don't even have to be around people all day to have a good social life. No. I mean, like, I feel like it's a very arbitrary term anyways. Like, what do you think of as the ideal social life? Because I feel like a lot of people are satisfied with like spending the whole week on their own, and then like, okay, I see the gym friends in the gym, and then I'll see like my good friends like once a week at dinner or something like that, and maybe you have your girlfriend or whatever. And I feel like you don't need to like always be around other people doing like the events that they tell you to do. Like there's so many ways you can find fulfillment in like your social life. So, like, what do you like define as like your ideal social life?
2 or 3, like especially for guys, 2 or 3 guys that are your brothers for life, and that's all you need. That's honestly all I need. I don't need, like, that's kind of why it's been such a struggle to find friends here, because like I don't really necessarily need anybody else, you know what I'm saying? I'm not saying I need my friends. I'm saying like that they're just such part of my like livelihood that like I don't want anybody else to replace that, So, but for me, it's like I just need 3 solid guys. Pause. I just need 3. I need 3 guys.
You didn't have to say that.
I just need 3 guys, and that's all I need. And like my family as well. Obviously, my brother, my ride or die. So, but yeah, that's. I mean, for other people, it's like you need to know all like hundreds of people. But I mean, for some people, like for me, it's like I just need to see my guys on the weekend, and that's all I need.
Yeah.
So
that's interesting, man. So do you feel like you have less incentive to be social just because, okay, I found those 3 guys, I've secured them. So it's like, I know that we were talking at lunch, I think last week, and you're like, okay, now this week I'm doing this like one friend a week thing. And what was that? Like you want to meet one new person every day?
Yeah, I wanted to meet one new person every day.
And you kind of inspired me to do something similar this week. So, see, I feel like do you like go back and forth with like one party's like, it would be nice to like have more people, and then other parties like, okay, I've secured these 3 guys, like I'm satisfied and fulfilled. So do you feel like that's a struggle you go through like back and forth, or just kind of like you're okay with?
It's definitely a struggle, because I mean here I don't see these guys. I don't see my guys here every single day, like I did at my high school. But no, it's definitely a struggle. But I mean, yeah, there's some instances where I want to like have all these friends. I want to know all these guys, just because like I grew up in a setting where like I knew everybody, so it's hard not knowing everybody. But then sometimes I'm just like, okay, like these guys are great, but I also have guys that are greater at home, you know. So I'm content with those guys, and hopefully nothing deters that relationship. And I don't think it can. No, I don't really think anything can, unless something really bad. But I can't really think of anything bad. But like, but no, we're definitely strong. There's such a strong foundation between these guys that I love that like there's nothing that can replace it. And obviously, like there's times where like I wish I knew a lot of people, like I said, but I don't know. I'm content with the small friend group that I have. So especially for not being social either, you know. So.
When I look back at like my own social life, I was just thinking because I don't know if there's a person I could have said as my best friend for over a year. Like I talked to so many people who've had like the same best friends for life, and I don't know why. Sorry, I thought phone was ringing. I don't know why it is, but I just feel like I've never had a consistent group of close friends. Like they always seem to change. Yeah, and I don't know why that is. It's like. Maybe when I was younger, there was like two guys, like my neighbor when I was growing up. I was about 5-6 years old. Like we were really close, and we played video games together. We would like ride bikes together or whatever. 5-6 year olds, maybe 10 year olds do. And then he moved to Texas one day, and that was Then that ended, and then I don't know. I was probably like 10 or 11 years old, and I mean, I guess middle school it's probably the same too. Where like I met these group of guys, or like this friend group, like 7th grade. I was kind of friends with them to 8th grade, and then like that kind of I'm not really in touch with a lot of them anymore. I kind of met some of them this summer, and it was nice to see them again. Right. But even in high school, like freshman year, I kind of struggled in general after COVID making friends. Like I had a really nice friend group sophomore year, fall, and then it was really strong fall, and then it slowly started to fall off throughout the year, and then that was kind of gone, and then like. I met a new friend group, then I went disappeared a new one, and then the guys I met senior spring, like there's 2 guys that I'm really close to from that group, and then a lot of guys are chill from over there. But I don't know, even though I'm here, like I feel like I'm somewhere in between where it's like I love socializing with people. Like I don't even feel it's not like I feel it. I feel like it happens naturally to me, where I just like enjoy just learning about people. It's like I like to sit with all kinds of different people and like just talk to them because it's so interesting how everyone got something else going on, you know?
Yeah, and I kind of just want to cut you off because I think like maybe that is like there's a reason for that, because maybe if you become too attached to someone and you get too close to someone, you won't want to reach out to other people, you know? And so like view it as like it's a good thing that you're not as close with people. Obviously it's great to have a brother like that really close, but like in a sense, because you're so social that like you can meet so many other new people instead of being comfortable with one person or a couple people, you know what I'm saying? And that's kind of like your quality trait is like you can go out and meet all these new people, instead of like if you were comfortable with a couple other guys like me, like I don't really want to go out and meet other people, so now that deters your identity, you know what I'm saying? So kind of like viewing in that light. But
that's a really interesting way of thinking about it. I never thought about it like that before, because it's weird because like we both have like these different approaches that we just lean into because that's what felt correct in our head for some reason, but we're both like fulfilled by it. Like it doesn't bother me that much, right? Sure. Like you love your 3 guys and like you're good. Yeah, no, you're happy to meet new people, but like you're content. And for me, it's like sure, like I can't say I have the day one friend by my side right now, but I could still say there's a lot of people I'm close to, and I'm like still fulfilled by it. It doesn't bother me. Right. So I mean,
it's just different ways people like you and I approach that. Kind of friendship ideal, but view it in that light, not something bad necessarily. It's a gift. Yeah, right. You gotta there's facets to just one thing, right? It's not just one perspective. There's so many other ways you can view something. So, it's a good thing that like you're going out and socializing people, because, I mean, someone you socialize maybe is not that social and maybe looking for someone to hear and talk to. Like your approach to that is going out and talking to that person. I mean, change someone's day, you know. So
that's true, man. Yeah, I like that. Let's close it at that. Noah Link, we did about almost 2 hours together. A lot of fun.
That was good.
Yeah, a lot of cool topics here, man. I'm happy to have you on again at some point. I mean,
this is sure. I love it.
Great. I always love not knowing what we're going to talk about. That's the most exciting.
thing. And it just kind of keeps going, and like you just kind of get into the nitty and gritty and stuff, and. Yeah, I definitely want to watch this back too, because I want to hear what I said. Because I sometimes stutter my words, but
you're fine. You speak really well, especially for a freshman. By the way, guys, Tapestry is new. Noah Link is their official first podcast with the Tapestry.
Let's go.
And when we blow up, I'll be selling them. So we don't have anyone who wants to buy it yet, I'm sure. Maybe we'll find someone. But I want to ask you if my video editor, Angelo, who makes my shorts and TikToks. And by the way, we're on all platforms now: TikTok, Instagram Reels, and YouTube. We've been on YouTube, but now we make YouTube Shorts. So sub everywhere. Baruah Podcast, BARUAH Podcast, everywhere.
Let's go.
Everywhere. I mean TikTok, Instagram, Reels,
Ramp
and
it
YouTube.
up.
But yeah, he told me that you need to make your studio better, because like no one wants to stare at these like boring ass backgrounds. So we got the tapestry, but I want to start asking my guests, do you have ideas for how we can make the studio better?
I would say do it in your dorm room, but that's kind of hard to do
Yeah.
because like it's not enough space.
Well, what would you add to this studio if you had to stay here? Or unless you have some like really cool idea on campus.
You know, if I could really change this right now, change the color, because obviously the color
walls?
is kind of trash.
Okay.
But no, I mean,
We could do
no,
that.
change the color, change the lighting, obviously, and just kind of like, I don't know. When you change the color, you change the vibe. So
What color would be a nice vibe?
I don't know. I mean, for me personally, I kind of like a grayish, like black and, you know, sparks of, you know, the brighter colors. But
Because what I can do is I can get like tiny tapestries and cover it.
no, yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
yeah. Or we just, I mean, there's plenty of other rooms, I think, at Michigan that, like, you could find a good spot for sure.
Yeah,
But-
it's very. I like how convenient this is.
Yeah, but it's super
I'm
nice,
welcome.
yeah.
I'm open to like, going other places though.
No,
So,
yeah. But I mean, obviously, in a dream world, you know, you could build your own studio and all that stuff. But
Maybe I'll get something for the guest background, because this we don't use that angle too much. Like we use it a couple times, but maybe like behind you we can get something big blue
Right.
or like
yeah, because that sign
gray.
really fits perfectly right
yeah,
there.
that looks fine.
Yeah, and I guess in a sense, you're not really seeing this stuff.
Not much. Yeah.
You're seeing the back, but yeah.
So we can add some colors. Let's look online. Maybe get like I have a Kanye West tapestry graduation.
Kind of
So I don't know. We could throw that. We'll put some cool stuff on the walls maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. Another thing I started doing is this open the wallet challenge.
Open the
So
wallet
in this
challenge.
wallet, I have all these cards here.
Okay.
There's 6 cards, I think.
Okay.
And your goal is to get them out. And I'm gonna time you. And currently the record is 51 seconds because it's hard.
Get all the cards out.
Yeah, because there's a secret way to do it. So we've done this once so far. Bramheim on episode 66 got it in 51 seconds.
51 seconds.
You get a max of 5 minutes because we actually have to end the podcast at some point. So
Okay.
I'm gonna put this in front of you. I'm gonna give you a countdown, and
Okay.
we're gonna see how long it takes you to remove all the cards from here.
Okay.
All right. It's
Okay.
hard, very hard.
Okay.
Anti-theft. You're not getting this.
Oh, anti-theft. Okay.
Let me get the timer up.
Huh.
Observe it as much as you want, man.
51 seconds.
Beat that and you're the record. All right. I'm going to give you a countdown. I want to say
Okay.
go. You can go ahead and grab it as fast as you can. All right.
Okay.
3, 2, 1, go.
What the frick? How in the...
10 seconds in.
What? Oh my gosh. How in the... I'm definitely not going to beat this. Dude,
25.
this is so anti-theft.
There's a way to do it without breaking it. So when you figure it out, it'll be easy.
Dude, what? What?
You got the cash.
Oh,
Nice.
oh, yeah.
It's bonus.
How in the... What am I at? Okay, yeah, I'm definitely not getting this.
Yeah.
Oh.
Oh, you beat him. You beat him. Bro, that was 48. I'm pretty sure it was 48.
Oh.
Oh, you were
Holy
this
cow.
close. He's going to be so pissed. I'm going to tell him that he got beat by like
That
3
was so
seconds,
close.
bro. Oh, wow. All right.
I knew there was a button because like I had one of these wallets where you could just like flick this.
Oh, really? But I broke mine. That's why you can't flip
Yeah,
it.
okay.
Because all you got is that thing in the inside. It wasn't anti-theft till I broke it. So I kind of accidentally, it was a gift that I broke it.
Okay,
Right?
okay.
I dropped it one day. I saw it broke. And I immediately remembered Noah Link's face. And I said, this is a gift.
Yeah.
I got an anti-theft wallet.
Yeah, bro. Nobody's gonna like. Someone's gonna take that. And be like, how do I?
Fuck, just give it back to you. I'm like, sorry, bro. I can't open this shit.
This is not even worth my time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways, thank
Let's
you for
go.
coming on.
New record and new poster.
Oh, yeah. It's a
I'll
great day.
take that any day.
Number 15.
60 no, what is it? 68.
15. Oh, wait, sorry.
68.
Episode
Podcast
68.
Let's go.
One away from episode 69. Tomorrow's a big, more important episode than episode 69 with Sammy Fayed. But this is equally as great.
Let's go.
Amazing.
Awesome.
Thank you, Noah.
Yeah.
Peace.
Thank you.
Thank you for tuning in to my episode. If you enjoyed that episode, I guarantee that you'll love this episode right here. The best way to support the channel is by hitting the subscribe button. It'll help me to upgrade the channel, get better guests, better production, and overall, more episodes for you. And by hitting the subscribe button, it will ensure that you'll never miss a new release. While you're at it, hit the like button, leave a comment, and share the link with your best friend. Thank you once again for tuning in, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one.